Archaeologists may have just found the oldest example of Cyrillic writing. Cyrillic is the alphabet used to write not just Slavic languages like Russian and Ukrainian, but languages all over Eurasia, including some local indigenous languages and even some of the Inuit languages in Alaska. Each language uses a slightly different version of the alphabet that's adapted to the sounds of that language. The Cyrillic writing system was invented during the 800s in the middle of the First Bulgarian Empire. At the time, there was a school called the Preslav Literary School, and that was the cultural and literary center of the First Bulgarian Empire. Two of the scholars there at the time were Saint Cyril and his brother Saint Methodius, and they were tasked by the Emperor of Bulgaria with spreading Christianity in the local region. In order to do that, they had to translate the Christian texts into the local Slavic language, which today we call Old Church Slavonic. But since Old Church Slavonic had a lot of sounds that Latin and Greek didn't have, Saint Cyril decided to invent a totally new writing system for the language, which he called Glagolitic. But that didn't really work out because a lot of the scholars at the Preslav Literary School were steeped in the Greek literary tradition, so that's what they were used to. So the brothers went back to the drawing board and invented a second writing system. This time it was based on a particular style of writing ancient Greek called Uncial Greek, but with additions and influences from that original Glagolitic script. The second time around it stuck, and that gave us the modern Cyrillic alphabet. It's called Cyrillic because it's named after Saint Cyril, but a lot of people just call it an azbuka, which is the names of the first two letters of the alphabet, just like the word alphabet comes from the names alpha and beta. And just for fun, here are some examples of kids practicing writing the Cyrillic alphabet from about 1,000 years ago. Now here's why this archaeological find is really cool. Prior to now, the oldest known Cyrillic text is from 921 AD. This new text was found in a fortress called Balakadere, which functioned as a military outpost until 927 AD. So based on that and other evidence, scholars think that this breastplate likely came to the fortress between 916 and 927. So that might date it earlier than that other earliest text from 921. But even if it doesn't wind up being the earliest Cyrillic text once everything is confirmed, it's still a really cool example of Cyrillic existing just decades after the writing system was invented. Old Church Slavonic, which today we called Old, but since Old Church Slavonic didn't have, but since Old Church Slavonic had, but since Old Church Slavonic had a lot of sounds, but since Old Church Slavonic didn't,